Our phones are kind of like a young person's life alert, never out of reach. It's always got to be there, right? They're how we text, work, entertain ourselves, figure out what people are doing all the time. And they're addictive. We worry about putting these powerful, shiny machines, obviously, into kids' hands. Countless stories like this one have been on TV.
In a recent survey, 70% of parents admitted to letting their kids use their user-friendly devices. But some worry about what it's doing to their tiny, developing brains. The iPad didn't even exist 3 years ago, so there's no hard data yet. Is it shrinking their attention spans, ruining their eyesight, or perhaps stunting their social skills?
When parents announce that screen time is over for the day, the meltdowns begin, the tears flow. Did you see the graphics on the screen there? The buttons are jiggling, notifications dinging, colors dazzling. We have an inkling that all that cannot be good for kids in large doses. So why then do we think it's good for our brains? A study this year found 78% of adults have smartphones. Why does this kaleidoscope of visuals attract us? What does it do to us? The word addiction is probably appropriate, many experts think. The Telegraph wrote up some new findings by the research group Avcom. They found this. In the age group 15 to 24 years old, about 4 hours of phone use daily. And then between the other ages that are older, like all adults, 2 hours, 49 minutes on the phone. It's a lot. What does that tell us? In an age of chatter about unplugging and, mindfulness, you hear it everywhere. We're hopelessly attached to our phones. Tristan Harris, the former Google ethicist, says the colors and sounds are candy for our brains. Notifications are usually red for a reason, and he explained to PBS how even those little notification numbers on the screen, 1, 4, depending on how popular you are, they're all gamed out.
Have you noticed if you ever log into Twitter, as an example? So there's an extra delay that you don't know how long it's going to take. It's between 2 and 3 seconds, where the number of new notifications on Twitter you have. So why is that there? Well, it makes that into what's called a variable schedule reward. It's like a slot machine. So you're playing the slot machine, and there's a time delay, and in that time delay, your anticipation's building, and then you get to see how many notifications I get. And so you become more addicted to checking it again the next time.
We are so easily conditioned. It's smart, right? We're hooked by these beautiful displays. But there's hope. And it's black and white and gray too. It's on my phone right now. I got this idea. I was talking with Tristan a few months ago here for the show, and I decided to try this out at the beginning of August, so it's been about 6 weeks now. You know all those colors on the screen? No more. That's mine. You flip your settings to grayscale. Basically, it becomes a newspaper. A notification might flash, but it's black. Doesn't have the same effect. Scroll through Instagram for a few seconds, and then every photo kind of looks similar, and then you click off of it. In essence, your phone becomes a tool.
Chances are you've checked your smartphone in the past 18 minutes. That's the average for all age groups in America. For millennials, it's more like every 10 minutes or less. Are we addicted? Well, most people in one survey said they could not go more than 1 day without food or water or their phones. What makes them so irresistible? It's all those bright colors. That dopamine jolt when you get a text or an email or you get that like. Even when we want to unplug, it's not easy. And that's no accident. Phones and apps are engineered to make you come back for more all the time. It's basic packaging. We've seen this other places. Think about it. No matter what the product is, it could be toothpaste, detergent, it could be cereal, a package wrapped in rich colors is more alluring. And then there's the stuff inside. Buy a box of Lucky Charms. Those brownish oat puffs probably aren't the star. It's the shamrocks and rainbows and the stars. Same deal with apps on our phones. Color and shape. These are the icebreakers when it comes to grabbing people's attention, and attention is the new currency. One neuroscience tech exec told the New York Times one of his clients, Facebook, there's a movement underway for avoiding all those flashy, colorful objects on our smartphones, and it's called Go Gray. It's really about taking control.
Because what we don't talk about is a handful of people working at a handful of technology companies, through their choices, will steer what 1 billion people are thinking today.
The movement is linked to Tristan Harris, former design ethicist at Google, and the founder of the nonprofit Time Well Spent. And he says we need to realign technology with humanity's best interest. The website argues this: colorful icons give our brains shiny rewards every time we unlock. So, set your phone to grayscale to remove those positive reinforcements. It helps many people check their phone less. Black and white brings a little bit of good boredom to our smart devices and lives. The grayscale mode typically hides somewhere in the settings menu that controls things like accessibility or display. Look for that. Now, companies don't necessarily want you flipping the switch because it's a powerful tool. Less mindless scrolling, fewer taps on apps you weren't planning to explore, and a little more time for what's important. That's the idea anyway. Does it work? Go gray. See what you think. And don't forget, boring is good.
Are you tempted to try it? Scared to try it? There's a group called Go Gray. Simple site, simple message. Just go gray. In one post, a man named Raymond Atta analyzed the results of his grayscale experiment. Here's what it looks like. He didn't stop using his phone altogether, of course. That's impossible in 2018, but you see a big drop-off once he went to grayscale. You see that on the left versus on the right. He still got the news, still had emails and Twitter, but it didn't hold the same draw. You know, it's not like a magnet. You can't detach yourself. Personally, I've experienced the same thing. I still use my phone, obviously, all the time, but it's not my main form of entertainment. It's more books and TV, newsy, of course. If I ever have kids, God willing, I would definitely flip it into black and white before handing it over to them and letting them try their hand at it. Grayscale, though, is not for everyone, to be honest, but we can get smarter about the whole process, even if you don't go grayscale. Sierra Felucci has some good ideas. She's not a grayscale fan, but she has some other smart concepts. She's with Common Sense Media, and she writes about parenting. We get sucked in so quickly, and the draw is so strong with a lot of these apps and smart devices. Why do you think that is?
Well, these apps and these devices are really designed to suck you in. You can imagine that it makes sense from a business perspective, right? That these companies want you to use their products and use them as much as possible and for as long as possible. So they use a lot of tricks from psychology to really keep us attached to our phones and constantly checking.
I've noticed that, like on my Facebook, they've started putting little, alerts and little hearts and things like this on things that have nothing to do with me, but it kind of tricks you into thinking something's new.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that little red icon that's right up next to many of your regular app icons. I mean, that has been studied to provoke a response in us and to make us get that little feeling of, ooh, something new, something exciting.
I wonder, do you, Sierra, use full color on your phone or iPad, or do you do grayscale?
So I definitely use full color. I have tried grayscale. I find it very annoying because I do like getting some little hits off of my phone, actually. And also I find it a little harder to find what I'm looking for. But I do think that it is something for people to try out if they are trying to reduce the amount of time that they're using their phones.
You have recently blogged, which caught our attention, about not only the effect on our brains, because we have some cognitions about this. We can be more intentional, but kids, it's like a whole bag of candy.
Just as much as we find those colors and those designs appealing, so do kids. I think kids have a little less experience with self-control, and they need a little help from parents and a little guidance to kind of figure out, what's the right amount of time to be using this device.
What are some common sense things you do that you might recommend other people do beyond going gray?
I mean, I think, first of all, you just have to kind of assess your use. And if you're using them for the reasons that you want to be using them. Do I really want to be scrolling through Instagram for an hour every night before bed? Or do I want to read a book? Or do I want to, talk to my partner or something like that? Think through from like a really, intentional standpoint how you want to use these devices. And then once you're at that stage, then you can start employing, actual settings and things like that. Some people talk about only getting notifications from people and not, machines, right? So like I always want to get a notification from my husband or from my child or whatever.
The people around you are the most important. And I think personally, I have no data to back this up, when we're personally happy, we're not as attracted to these things.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I think if you notice that in yourself, you know, if you notice that after you've finished a dinner party or a nice evening at home with your partner or whatever, that you feel really good, you can compare that to how you feel after you've spent an hour scrolling through Instagram. And you can, just be a little, again, more intentional about how you spend your time.
It's true. Once it's out of your control, then you click out and think, what did I just do? So maybe consider going gray. And maybe you won't do it all the time. When I take pictures of my dogs, I have to go full color,